Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Veg Networking Canada. We honor, acknowledge, and respect that many of us are located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of many Indigenous peoples of Canada. Veg Networking Canada is a community where vegan plant-based companies connect and collaborate. We have excellent conversations with excellent entrepreneurs. Today is nothing short of that. Today, we have a home chef extraordinaire turned food-based CPG entrepreneur. She has a family-first mindset with a focus on sustainability for all, with a high degree of passion for quality and creativity. Veg Networking Canada is pleased to introduce the co-founder of Plantropy. Welcome, Sharon Lally.
Hello, hi everyone. Yes, I'm Sharon. It's great meeting you all. Yes, I am the co-founder of Plantropy, and this was a company that was co-founded by my family. So the way this company was actually made was back in 2020, 2020, when I actually tried my first jackfruit chips. And because of that, that's when, we kind of branched out and tried to bring chips over. But when my father went to India to look at all the chips and everything that was there in south of India, that's when we got introduced to our another co-founder in India, who is the manufacturer of our products. And this guy, he's the one that actually introduced us to all of our products that we have now. And he's the one that actually makes these products. Yeah, so because of this is pretty much, because we went to India, found all this jackfruit. Yeah, that's where this whole idea of Plantropy came.
Wonderful. And can you tell us a little bit more, and everybody else listening, the decision to stay in the vegan plant-based specific niche and maybe not just have this as an offering or an alternative to a different product line, but the focus of remaining a fully vegan plant-based company?
And so the way that we became fully vegan is that my mom, my mother-in-law, and my best friends, they are all vegetarian. But my best friend, she is a vegan. And whenever we would go out to restaurants or anywhere, we would always notice there's so many options for meat eaters, whereas the veggie option or vegan option is very less. And especially in like mainstream restaurants, it's even more or less to have any vegan options. So that is where we were like, okay, we need to come out with options where they are more different, because lots of vegan companies have burgers, meatballs, and all those mainstream products. So we decided, let's be kind of different and bring out products that are similar to that, but different. So we came out with some pepperoni, some dumplings, and different products that, you can bring different nationalities and everyone more together with jackfruit. So it was more of like a base, sorry to cut you off, but it was more of a base to just bring in more options for even our family, because I know my mom, my mother-in-law, they don't like eating veggies all the time, whereas, we can eat, burgers. Yes, there are veggie burgers, but it's not that same feeling as a meat burger.
Very cool, very cool. And before we continue, you have carte blanche to, cut me off at any point in time. Totally cool. This is all about you and Plantropy. So the second question for you, Sharon, is centered around your entrepreneur spirit, your entrepreneur origin story, that spark. Did that coincide with this business, or was there maybe a journey that unfolded previous?
Yeah, so this is actually my third business. I had my first honey business when I was 19. And so that started out because I was doing beekeeping. And from there, I started out, doing beekeeping, made my own honey. And I also made some products with my honey and bee byproducts. And from there, because I like cooking, I also have another family restaurant that we all opened up a franchise together. So we have that together. So that's the second one. And now this is the third with family as well.
Wow, wow. Yeah. And in terms of the vegan plant-based CPG industry and space, Are there any transformations or maybe you might even answer this from like a jackfruit perspective, because it seems like your company is very jackfruit forward. So the question is, have you noticed or picked up on any transformations or trends in your space?
I would say for us, the main trends that we have seen is very like whenever people think of jackfruit, they think of pulled jackfruit. So that is something where, we have tried to make a good jackfruit, but also make it different in a way where it's not, because we've tried multiple of the pulled jackfruit that's in the market right now. And it is good, but lots of them have like a coconutty flavor. And that's where we were trying to not get that flavor in there. Yeah, so I would really say like mainly trends and everything. People think of jackfruit, they think of pulled jackfruit, pulled pork. But we're trying to separate that and make it more of everything.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you were talking about previously dumplings and pepperoni and things like that, I'm sure many people like myself are thinking like, I wonder how jackfruit can turn into pepperoni, and I wonder what that tastes like. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So next question is centered around where is your business going in the future? And it's generally helpful if you wouldn't mind catching everybody listening up to speed on sort of like how it started, how you got to where you are today, and then using that as sort of a launch pad to let us know about where your business is going in the future. And as a secondary point to that, perhaps you don't have to, but I know a lot of listeners are interested in the creativity behind businesses and how did people come up with certain business names. So if you want to touch on the meaning maybe behind the business name, and then of course, what got you to where you are today and where's that business going in the future?
All right. Yeah, so starting off with the name, our name actually used to be Troppy Foods to begin with. And we decided Troppy Foods because jackfruit is a tropical fruit. So we're like Troppy, tropical. It's a nice, vibrant name. So that's what we came out with. And then when we started going to conventions, people saw our name, saw our logo. They're like, oh, Trophy Foods. And we're like, no, we are Troppy. They're like, oh, sorry, we thought you guys were a different company. And then from there, we didn't know about Trophy Foods. We started looking into Trophy Foods and we're like, our logos are very similar. Names are very similar. So then we actually went through a logo change. And then we were like, no, this might be trouble considering we're just one letter difference from Trophy Foods. And we're like, we don't want any trouble with that. So we did a whole complete name change to Plantropy. So we're still a plant and tropical. Yeah, so that was the whole name idea. And then, so talking about our business and where we think we're going to go. So we started off from a really small business, like a farm-based business. Like we were very farm to table because our partner in India, he's the farmer of all the jackfruit. And he has been making these products for a very long time now. So he's the one that is farming the jackfruit, manufacturing our products, and then bringing them to us here. And because of that, we think this is a very good place where we can actually go into multiple stores and also be into like restaurants. So right now we are actually in a few stores, one being the Cloverdale Farm Market and another few farm markets around. So we are planning to have our products available in multiple different bigger grocery stores and also in some franchises and restaurants, because this is a product that you can see on multiple products. We've given our pepperoni to some pizzerias, so we're hoping in a few little while we'll see them in pizzerias as well.
Yum. And there's probably a lot of food-based CPG folks listening that are just envious of that manufacturing
Yeah.
farming connection that you have, because that is very difficult to get your hands on, quite literally. And so very interesting and to your point, a unique selling proposition for sure to tell that story as well. So very interesting. Now, as always, this one in particular, we always preface by saying there's no right or wrong answers, and it might be something that you or your company or family has done in the past. Maybe it's something currently taking place, or maybe there's future plans to sort of inject this into your business model. But the question is, centered around giving back and charity. So maybe you or your business or your family, is there any charitable giving going on, or maybe like what does charity or giving back look like or mean to you?
And so at the moment, we have this parade, Vasaki parade, that always goes on here in Surrey. So that is happening this Saturday. So we will be there on Saturday with our stall and our truck and everything, just giving away some products. So we will be there for that on this Saturday. And previously because we are a fairly new company, we haven't really done much yet. So far we have done some promotions with a company called Deepak Binning. They are a very local thing, and so they are pretty much a company that helps raise awareness for young kids' illnesses. So we do some fundraising with them. But right now, we are just focusing on the Pasaki Parade. So that's pretty much what we are doing right now. But in the future, we are planning to go more into, giving back to the community once our name is a little bit more out there as well.
Absolutely, for sure, for sure. And begs asking, not to put you on the spot too much, but in terms of farming plants, very big conversation, and hopefully not a trend, but more of a transformation in moving towards fair trade, sustainable harvesting and everything like that. Is there anything, you don't have to answer, but is there anything related to the farmer back in India that does sort of touch on fair trade or anything like that?
Well, for him, he is our partner. So pretty much everything is 50-50. So whatever we sell here, he would get the 50% proceeds as well to him. Yeah.
I was on mute there. Yeah, absolutely. And fair trade certification, I don't know personally. Some people listening might know that the jackfruit industry is that is an important connection. I just know through conversations that particularly like chocolate and coffee are extremely important for consumers to look for that fair trade certification label. Otherwise, you're not really sure if there's child labor or environmental issues going on. So yeah, interesting to note, interesting thought, at least in terms of where does jackfruit, the plant, fit into the fair trade business model.
From what I know, like, he does not do any child labor because he is the one that goes out and does it himself. Yeah, but I wouldn't know specifically about that fair trade because to get jackfruit, it is quite a difficult job. So yeah, I don't think there would be much to it, but I will definitely look into that.
Yeah, definitely something to look into because consumers are becoming so savvy, and seeing these certain certifications means a lot to consumers. So it's just food for thought for sure. Next question, which is great because you mentioned that there's, this is the third business that you've been through, so it's not brand new. And even if it was, the question still remains, the next one for you, which is centered around resources, which you might interpret as books. It might be podcasts. It might be mobile apps on your phone. And you might be thinking of this question in terms of something that is resources that have helped you with leadership, growth, mindset. It could be really anything. Where basically the question is just trying to extract resources that listeners may not have heard about before in the form of books, documentaries, podcasts, anything like that. So if there's any resources that have helped you, we'd like to know, so maybe they could help others.
I think the number one resource for me and like helping me with all my businesses is actually my dad, because he's actually had like 10 plus businesses. And so he knows how to like run a business and everything like that. So he's always been like the backbone of all the businesses that I've done. So that's pretty much where I know all my knowledge for businesses and everything like that from him, or like any of my family, my cousins. And like another person that's really helping right now is our broker. So whatever information that we might not have, we can always ask him and he always helps us as well. Yeah, but I feel like it's really like person to person information where I get all my knowledge and everything from.
Well, we're gonna you and your sister and your family are gonna have to convince your dad probably to write a book then. It sounds like there's a lot of wisdom in between those ears. So it's very obvious to everybody listening that your father, your family are a huge source of inspiration for you. So feel free to touch on this in that respect a little bit more if you want. But that's the next question for you is, what does inspiration mean to you? And are there people or organizations or movements that are sources of inspiration for you?
Yeah, I would say the people in my life are the main source of inspiration for me because like I am not vegan myself. So seeing like my best friend, my mother-in-law, my own mom, all being vegetarian and vegan. So this is pretty much like a way for me to help them. And so it's kind of the inspiration like, okay, like if I can make this product very good and like my best friend likes it and she used to eat meat, but she thinks this is just as good, then I know that, it's a win-win. Because if I like it, but I might be biased because it's my own product. But if, multiple people like it and they actually would eat this on a regular, then I know it's actually a good product. So that's where I'm like, I'd do this for them in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch maybe a little bit further on that, have these people in your life been inspirations to you in terms of, and not to put you on the spot too much, but have they been inspirations to you in terms of the vegan plant-based life and maybe you yourself, like increasing the amount of plants that you're consuming, or has that not changed at all too
Oh
much for
no,
you?
it's increased a lot. Yeah. Like I know because I don't have dairy. So because of that, like when I'm with my friends, I'm always like not having much meat alternatives because not having much meat. It's always the meat alternatives. So it's always like I go there, I can have my plant-based milk with them, and then I always have the meat alternatives. And even when I'm with my mom, I'm always like, we can just share a meal rather than, having two separate. So it's always nice in that way because like, we both can share a meal rather than being like, this is mine, that's yours, don't touch this. Whereas like I can go pick at her food, but she can't pick at mine. Right. So it's always nice. Like I am eating more vegetables, more plant-based items. So I think it's nice in that sense.
It is nice, and it's important, I think, for other people listening, who may think like the whole vegan plant-based world is, very extreme or very militant or whatever it might be, using air quotes, extreme and militant. But it is often for folks not a light switch change or transit. It's a journey, right? And so it's great to hear people talk about their own experience and their own journey, because hey, if nobody's talking about it, we don't really know what else is going on, and we might think that we're alone in the way that we're operating in this world. And so that's sort of a little bit more behind that, further that question. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is one of those conversations that feels like we literally just started, but here we are already at the end, essentially at the very last question or conversation starter for you, which is generally not well received by our spotlight speakers in terms of uh, giving advice. A lot of people say, well, I don't know if I'm in any position to give advice. So with that being said, that is kind of what we're looking for to depart on the listeners, is some advice, but maybe framed more so as tips, lessons, wisdom, just things that you've learned over your entrepreneurial journey that somebody listening might very well be an entrepreneur themselves. They might be, like you, they might be on their third business, or maybe it's their first crack at it. Or they might be somebody who is in a 9 to 5 who has this burning passion and they do want to become an entrepreneur. So you're kind of speaking to probably a swath of different folks here. But that's the question to sort of finish off with you today, Sharon, is do you have any tips, lessons, wisdom, or advice for anyone?
Yeah. So I think my main tip is whatever you are thinking to do, just go for it. There's never any wrong moment to follow your dreams or follow what you feel like you are meant to do. Like that is my number one tip to pretty much everyone. And if that, like, I even told this to like my little cousins and everyone. I tell them, I'm like, if you want to do a business, if you want to set yourself to do these goals, you should do it. If that means, you got to go to school, you don't want to go to school, I'm like, that is all up to you. Like, I am someone who didn't graduate college. So that's like one thing for me as well. Like, I didn't graduate college, and I know lots of my younger cousins or friends and everyone who are in college now, they're like, I don't like it. I don't want to do this. I'd rather do this instead. And I'm like, if you know you want to open up this business and that is what you want to do, get knowledge in that business rather than going to this school and going that way when you know that's not what you want to do at the end with your degree. So I'm like, go that path. So I think whatever you want to do specifically, that's what you should do. If you want to open up a business, open up the business. If you want to work your 9 to 5, then you work the 9 to 5. But I think it's honestly what's best and what's true for yourself.
So to summarize that, it's, never the wrong time to trust your heart.
Never. Yeah.
Interesting. And the whole education system as well too. I'm sure that we could probably have a whole other, conversation specifically about that. But yeah, that's probably valuable for people listening that are maybe in a position where they are kind of being encouraged to go down a certain path, and to have voices like yourself say, like, that's great if that's for you, but just really understand if it is or if it's not. And there's different ways to get information. Information has been democratized drastically in the last 5 years or so, if not before that. And so don't have to maybe get education or information the way that you thought you could or you should back in the days. So Sharon, before we let people know where they can find you online and on Instagram and probably make some orders or drool a bunch and everything like that, is there anything that you want to mention, maybe something that came up in the conversation you'd like to double back on, maybe something that we missed, or any just announcements or anything? We kind of, every time at the end, kind of leave the floor open to our special guest for them to just share anything that was missed or anything that you want to touch on again.
No, that is pretty much everything. But we are going to be at the Planted Expo this May. So whoever is wanting to try out some samples, please come out and do. We'll be there.
All right, perfect. Well, you heard it here, folks. Planted Expo in Vancouver. You can find Plantropy there. And in the meantime, online, the website is www.plantropy.ca, and that's Plantropy. Plantropy.ca. And the same, on Instagram, it's Plantropy Life, at Plantropy Life. And this has been an excellent conversation with the co-founder of Plantropy, Sharon Lally. And everybody else, thank you so much for carving out some of your time with us today live, or if you're listening on the replay, thank you so much for being here and joining us on Veg Networking Canada. And we look forward to having another episode and having more great conversations soon. But for now, take care. Bye for now.
Bye.